Welcome everyone to the sixth, I believe, someone can correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's the sixth Altered TCG Weekly Online League. Tonight I'm joined by Blue, my great co-commentator for a few events so far. How are you doing, Blue?
I'm doing good, and hello everyone. It's me, Blue, the best altered commentator in all the land, coming to you live in a fancy headband. Let me switch up the language if you don't understand. J'azecu tu point manque maintenant je suis du retour à la demande. I apologize to all the native French speakers that got out of hand. Back to regularly scheduled stream as planned.
I understood like one of those words. Okay, Cole, if Blue's the third best, who's the first and the second? You can let us know your tier list of commentators. But so here's what I wanted to talk about. We did not do commentary last week, but the top four was a Finn, Treyst, a Faunus, and Navanka, and there was only one Waru in the top 16. The top four for the event on Monday was Tasia, Basira, Treyst, Kojo. So we finally got some Bravos representation, although this is like, you could classify Monday as the European meta. But, and this isn't meant to be like a negative, the Ace Season 1 finals and the Ludo Trotter, I'm not going to pronounce all the French words, I apologize, saw a lot more Waru representation, with the top three spots in each being Waru decks. What do you think about this? Is this so? I guess, like, cynical theory is that some events the players are just sort of branching out to branch out and experiment and kind of not prioritizing the top deck. But like, what's your opinion on those like four events overall that happened in the past couple of weeks?
So I guess starting from the beginning with the recent AWOL tournaments, so the Monday tournament with the European side of things, like you said, as far as like Tasia, Bravos players, I don't think that's entirely crazy. We've seen a lot of Tasia participation in even the in-person events. We just haven't seen them do well overall. Um, so I mean, it's nice to see that it finally broke through there. Same thing for Bravos. I think we even saw at some point an in-person event in Europe for about like 100 players, and I think it was in Lyon, that a Bravos player won and beat a Waru player, the Waru player who actually recently won the Paris event, actually. So I don't know if it's so much different. I think it is kind of a little bit of what you're talking about, where people are trying some new things, you know? We also saw, I don't think Pluka was involved in the last AWOL event either. Um, and I know some other typical Waru players weren't playing Waru as well. So it honestly could just be a switch up, people wanting to try different things. I don't think it's entirely a meta shift. Waru is just still too good at this point. Um, but it's nice seeing some new stuff. I think we even saw some fun new heroes in the big 500 player event in Paris with top 8, even including like the Subash and Basira player. So yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see. It's nice to see more events popping up because it just gives players more opportunities to try things. Like when there's only one event a week or however two, you know, you kind of maybe stick to the deck you know well, or the deck that's going to do well. When you add more events, people feel like they can sort of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. I've talked to some top players in general, and a lot of them feel that there is still room for the meta to grow a little bit. I mean, realistically, with the unique system, maybe someone just hasn't found the right unique to make Arjun and Spike good, you know?
yeah,
Um, it there's how many different uniques for each character. Like there's bound to be something to make a hero exceptional in one way or another. All it took is a recycled jellyfish for Lindaway to make the top. So
Yeah.
it's always possible.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed 100%. Let's see what people are saying in chat. Chaos. Oh, the Kojo matchup took 2 of the 3 games off me playing Wario last week too. If they play enough big units. So okay, so that Kojo deck is like doing fairly well against Swaru, which is cool to hear. So people must be figuring something out. So I'm excited to. I hope we see it tonight, or hope we see people like at least inspired by that deck.
Yeah, I think it's just some variation of the Kojo Foundry deck. I mean, it's good if you hit the cards that you need to play and you get the right aggro.
Yeah.
If you hit a 2-0 early against a Waru and you're able to maintain some semblance of not letting them gain board control, whether it's early removal or they just don't hit a bureaucrat when they need to hit a bureaucrat, it's definitely possible. Like I think, I mean, it wasn't like in a ranked setup or anything, but I've beaten Warus with like Kojo or whatever before without, because they just never get online correctly, right? And
Yeah.
I'm able to get rid of the Robin Hood as soon as they're able to get it out. It's just one thing or another, right? So
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like. I think most people still consider and will continue to consider Waru like the boogeyman deck, but like it can definitely falter. Like it is sort of victim to like drawing what it needs in the right order, just like most decks in the game right now. Except for decks that have like huge card advantage, like Treyst or Finn and stuff, that have a little more leeway with their choices. But just I think that we can both say seeing a Bravos in the top 4 is like, that's nice for us. It's what we've been asking for.
for sure. Oh, you're talking about AWOL. Yeah, I mean, I think when I was thinking about Foundry in general, I was thinking about the previous in-person event in
Yeah,
Europe,
yeah.
I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a good aggro Kojo as well, where you don't play any permanents and you don't lose tempo in that way as well. I mean, you could also play just the Bravos Bastion. That's 2
Yeah.
costs and is plenty non-worrying as far as tempo. So
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it has started, or at least it has loaded up. So let me switch scenes. Hopefully nothing breaks. Welcome everyone to the final match for the 6th weekly Altered Online League. Looks like we have a Treyst mirror match. What do we think about this going into the finals, Blue?
it's interesting, and for everyone that thinks I sound like I'm underwater right now, it's because I may have been sick before this. But anyway, what I think about it is, since we are seeing a Treyst mirror matchup, it obviously means that we need to ban Treyst. He's gotten out of hand at this point, and that's the only reasonable thing that we can do. Ban Haven, ban Treyst. It should be over. But seriously, fun. I really think Treyst is probably the second best hero in the game if Waru didn't exist, and even then, I think it's pretty close. But people on Discord would probably disagree in some fashion, but that's what I think.
I agree. It's definitely, I don't think anyone can argue that if not like the second best deck, like tied for the second best deck in the format right now. Like I just don't know how people could really argue that. Looks like we do, so we got to do the thing where we say top trace and bottom trace. Looks like top trace has a Haven out already, one of the key cards in the deck.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see some quick effects being used here for the top trace to start those counters up potentially, especially if they do have a permanent. Even if they don't have a permanent, they may still use it anyway. But it also could just be used for the Haven for the free stats. Who knows? I don't, because I can't see their hand. But uh, other than that, get some nice resupplies, and that's a good card to resupply into.
Yep.
Like top is opting to actually play the characters, which is fair. I could see why you'd want to do that.
Might be cutting out a tiny bit, Blue.
Yeah, I think it's opposed to the actual mic. It's just my voice cutting out. I apologize.
Oh, no. Yeah, no worries.
It's the more I talk, the more chances that it is to happen. But
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm getting better. Send money to my Patreon if you want me to get better. I don't
Yes.
actually have one, so but send me money anyway.
Send him Tylenol's not the right medicine.
Yeah. Send me subscribes and views on my YouTube channel, Blue Oak TV. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, potential advancement here for the bottom Treyst. 3 costs left for the top Treyst though. I gotta imagine they can play something from hand. Seeing a bit of a delay. Yeah, we get the Ada.
Yep.
Probably setting up for some card draw next turn.
I will remind players, like I do every time, especially when we get to the finals, as fun as it might be to go into the player chat and say things to them, it is distracting. It does pop up. I would personally refrain from it, but you know, it's your life. Do what you want.
It's not though. Simon will find you.
He will find you. You'll
Interestingly enough, we do have the Spanish mirror as well. So maybe that we should ban all Spanish players as well as Treyst players for the mirror.
Thank you to the Spanish players for staying awake, especially since they have an event on Monday now that's like more playable.
Yeah, what time is it over there right now? It's like 3 a.m. Congrats, guys.
So.
It's no longer the Keelan guy just staying up on Red Bull anymore. It's the Spanish players too.
Maybe it's a holiday in Spain. I don't think it is, but
I don't think so. I think everyone had the Monday off because I know it's just like a World War II holiday for EU too, but I don't think we got anything on Wednesday. Maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe it's a special Spanish holiday that I'm missing.
A lot of players from Chile tonight is what Simon's saying. So similar time zone.
For Chile? Spain? Am I missing something here? Is my world geography off?
Is my alright. Add apologies. I will play. We'll play by play. Nothing's happening. The state of the game has remained the same.
The state of the game has remained the same, and Chile is nowhere near Spain. If anyone wanted to verify that, I can promise you it's not. Anyway, gotta love the Haven coming out.
Yep, Haven got a Kellen Intimul up top, Mechanic up top. Still not using them for their quick effect, but
yeah, at this point, they don't even need to.
Yeah.
I guess technically they could have, but it doesn't really matter.
We're commentating Altered and we're learning geography. What more could anyone ask for?
Yeah. After this, we're gonna play GeoGuessr.
Oh God.
Because Spooks really needs to know where Chile is in relation to Spain.
Another continent.
Also different time zones.
Right, we're going into day 2. Top Treyst is at 4 counters. Bottom Treyst is at 3 counters. I don't know how much the players are looking at this as a race to 5 counters, but I'm sure the card advantage, or the card choice, I should say, is would be beneficial to either one. Top Treyst is only a 2-0 away.
Yeah, I think they both may trigger this day, but it may seem like the bottom Treyst prioritize just removing the Haven opposed to getting the hero power set up.
Yeah. They've been doing good. Makes sense.
Yeah, especially if they're low on resources and you can assume that they're not going to play another Haven. Not a bad idea, especially when you already have one. Yeah, it looks based off of that, they're just planning on not hitting it until next turn. They'll be down. And that'll be the one that returns to reserve too.
Yep.
Ouch. And that'll just be the win.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. It's like they're gonna try to.
Unless they hit a Ada Lovelace here. Does that stop? No, that doesn't stop anything, does it?
It can
Nope.
resupply as a quick
Yeah.
action.
That'll be it. What a play. Little quick play on day 3 by
Yeah, that was quick.
by YOLO there.
Definitely the fastest final match.
Yeah, like I mean if we're talking hooked? Oh my god. Oh. He stops it. I did not see that coming. What a play. I would have yelled louder if my voice would have allowed me to because I thought we saw like an amazing play there by YOLO and then all of a sudden the hook comes in clutch.
YOLO definitely still at an advantage, but that was hooked. Hooked is such a fun card.
That is a clutch hooked. Yeah. YOLO still had an advantage, but not as big as I think it could be, especially since Wildcat still has the or the bottom Treyst still has their Haven out, and they definitely have the possibility to get some more characters in the reserve. They can resupply with the Chronicler. They can use their effect. Unfortunately, that is not a drawing hooked, but they needed the 1 cost in order to make that last play work anyway, so it was probably a good thing it's not a rare hooked. So yeah, it's really just going to depend on what YOLO hits here in their draw, because technically Cat does have the hand advantage in that aspect. We'll find everything in hand here, even though they'll get a draw real quick. Yeah, they're just going to keep on trying to cycle as much as possible. Yeah. Can Cat go wide enough is the question here. Immediately going to Treyst ability. And gonna do something similar here. Ooh, and a second Bravos Bastion.
Yeah, they definitely, both players definitely still have some moves. I think it's gonna be interesting because the double boost, they do have some low drop from reserve characters.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, YOLO can play enough characters so a hooked wouldn't matter, but if they do that, then they won't have enough stats. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it, because at this point, if you're YOLO, you're playing to just, you may not win this turn, but you need to set yourself up for next turn to potentially win and not get out-resourced by Cat. But that may be a little too late with both Havens out.
What an interesting turn of events. We were all convinced it was over.
Now we were convinced we saw a day 3 like awesome play by YOLO, and then Cat was like, oh yeah, well, hooked. Imagine if you were running rare hooked and you drew into a rare hooked when you needed 1 mana. You're like, why didn't I just make it a common? Why?
Yeah. Kalon Elemental. You got 1 mana left. They are resupplying with the Chronicler's support ability into an Athena, which
Right, they're gonna draw here.
Yep. And
It's interesting that they would do that. I almost would have preferred them to save the draw in the character for next turn, and just try to hook their, just give up. I guess they can't give up.
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's rough. Now they tie, and they get 1, but they're pretty even now. I guess. I guess they have 2 in reserve and 1 in hand.
they could have. I might have read the numbers wrong, but I think they could have hooked the Salvager, because then they wouldn't win on either side.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think they wanted to at least get the 1 advance, so that way they can
Yeah.
at least make progress. Interesting that they would get rid of the Athena here. I guess with so little cards in hand, the hooked becomes more valuable. They can't really go wide, so
Yeah.
maybe that's what they're thinking. But now we get to the point of, do they resource or not for mana? Or do they have breakfast, as I like to say?
They did indeed both resource. This is always like a tough position because like you basically have to keep 2-0ing, right? Like
You don't have to 2-0, you just have to at least 1-0,
we have to
I think.
block on both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah, at least block, but since you don't have a small step, you have to at least advance, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah.
Or at least, if you're not advancing, you're keeping card advantage. Which they should be able to with 2 Bastions out and so much in reserve.
Here's
But
the other unique bouncer.
those bouncers are nuts.
So good. This is the one that sabotage, and then from reserve discard target permanent.
So that's a big swing there. I mean, obviously Wildcat still has the advantage, I think, but it's a good one. If you're hitting something, you want to hit that thing. That'll be everything. We see everything that Cat has. That bouncer may have been a big play,
Yeah.
stat-wise.
They did put it on the side that they need water.
I think it was mostly to force Cat to play over there.
Yeah.
Depending on what YOLO has in hand, the armor is not enough, but I'm not sure what Cat has in hand. I mean, what YOLO has in hand. At this point, I almost would just pass if I'm YOLO. Go to the final day tied, and resources fairly similar because Because Cat's gonna have to discard 2 here from reserve,
Yeah.
regardless, and just hope for the best draw you can get. Like, it doesn't do you any good to play armor here unless you have a good 1 cost.
Yeah, interesting. Because
Cat can just play Stargazer and they're up.
yeah,
And like the best 1 cost that YOLO can have is what, like a Foundry mechanic maybe, or a Stargazer themselves.
hmm.
But like Cat can just counter it. So like I don't know why you would waste resources like that. Like, give it up.
Yeah, this goes back to like what we've been talking about this whole event is like you don't actually have to like use all your mana if you don't need to pull out the win because they still have I don't think they need to hook, but like they have the Stargazer.
Yeah, like no matter what happens here. I guess they're doing the check and like they're not 2-0ing in this case, so they are in a better scenario there, but now you don't have an armorer and they're still 1-2-0 away from beating you. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like you almost want to give the 2-0 up there and have more resources, because now Cat will have the same amount of resources as they planned previously. Granted, they may have something different, but yeah, it's just yeah. See, you ended up getting 2-0'd anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
And again, I there's a lot to pay attention to, so I may have counter. I actually think if obviously like top Trace could have played differently if this happened, but I actually think if they had played the Foundry mechanic on the hero side, they still would have won that side and could have played the Stargazer on the companion side and like kept the hooked if I was counting correctly, but I could have been wrong. But yeah, it's interesting. We keep seeing examples of like you're just is it worth using cards, which are resources? Like, is it worth using your cards for the same result if you didn't use them? And I don't know. I personally am on your side, and I don't think it is.
I mean, I guess essentially it's the same thing, and you guys are going to a final draw here, but I'd rather have more resources and them not know what's in my hand with that 1 additional card than just having 1-for-1 on reserve, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone typing in their chat in the finals is wild. You can't
Simon, pretty sure they're all friends, which,
you can't stop Spanish fans.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They can't be stopped. Anyway. Yeah, it's just gonna come down to what they drew in hand. We got Cat hitting another Haven, which is gonna be huge for a play like Amelia.
Yep.
And they still have the Treyst ability to work with here. So they're almost guaranteed to win on the companion side with that Keelan Elemental. The question is can they pull out enough grass on the hero side to block at least, to not have to go to an arena. But even if you go to an arena with 2 Havens out, I feel like you're feeling fine. But
Yeah,
for
for sure. Tell on burst. On what though? On the Amelia?
I feel like you have to at this point.
Yeah, makes sense. Just like at this point, yeah, you're just trying to close the game. Unfortunate.
There's another one.
And they don't know what's in their hand, but bottom trace at least has enough mana to play both things from reserve, which it would give. It gives. It's not like the first character, right? It's just your characters. So
yeah. they at least have enough to be winning on both sides
Yeah.
and pretty much guarantee one side if they want to go to a arena. And realistically, with the one cost, they'll know what the hand play here is, and it's a hooked, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah. They'll just
Because Keelan ties it,
tie.
yeah, and that's game, no matter what's in hand. Good games though.
Good game.
Wildcat able to pull it out from the brink
Yeah.
with an amazing one cost hooked play.
That was, oh my
We
god.
thought it was over. We thought it was done.
That hooked is gonna go down in history.
Thank you, all the Spanish players that decided to come and dominate North America.
Yeah, we deserve it.
Further proving my point that EU torches us right now.
Welcome everyone. That was the final match of the 6th weekly Altered League, Altered Weekly Online League. I got there eventually. Looks like the event's just now wrapping up. Looks like we have one like low table left to finish. What did we think about the event overall this time, Blue?
It was an interesting one. I think we got to see a lot of variety, a lot of Kojo, and eventually a lot of Treyst in the top 4 players at least. But yeah, it was fun to see the different varieties. We saw a few different games, a lot of tie-breaking arena matches as well. So can't complain. It definitely wasn't a snooze fest, if you will.
Yeah, I'm just trying to check on the. So we had the final match was Treyst versus Treyst, trying to figure out what the other final 4 placing decks were, so we can have that confirmation.
Yeah, I don't know what the final one's going to turn out to be, but I know at the beginning of round 5, the undefeated players were 3 Treyst and 1 Tasia. But we'll see how it falls.
Sure. So like I mentioned, that final match was Treyst versus Treyst, which is a finals that we haven't seen, at least in the weekly online league. I think I can speak for people in general and say that it's nice to have a non-Ortis deck in the finals. Finally, I know that last week's also that was the case as well. Happy to see players branching out. Happy to see people kind of experimenting and figuring out their list for other heroes. But in general, what did you think about that final match and like how it ended?
I mean, I think at the point where we saw I guess, the turning point on day 3 of the hooked that shook the world.
Yep.
It was kind of like a little bit of a downhill battle from there for Wildcat. They had the resource advantage. They had everything for them at that point, and pulling off that one cost left hooked just to not lose was wild. And I don't think we could have asked for a better final in general. And the only thing that we can expect now is for people to want to ban Treyst, because if we keep on seeing mirrors like this, then that's the only option.
Yeah. I think everyone in the commentary chat and us just like convinced it was over, which would have been probably the quickest match we've seen in the event so far. And it like you said, and like a bunch of people in chat said, that hooked was so clutch. Like it really, I've never seen a game turn around so hard. Now, if people ask for hook to be banned, I think we have an issue.
No,
But
it's not hooked being banned. We need to ban Haven, Bravos, Bastion, and Treyst.
Yeah.
Like, get on the same page.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
I will say the Havens definitely came in very useful for Wildcat at the end too. They definitely helped him regain momentum and kind of like stabilize in the second half of the game. And if they had lost those, then it would have probably been much more of a struggle. Haven is just such a good card in the Trace decks that we see typically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw at that point where Cat was able to get the permanent advantage by Keylon bursting the Haven for YOLO, and then just not losing there. Because I think they played the Keylon burst the same turn that they played the hook, and I think we were both thinking, like, why are they playing the Keylon burst here? They only have 1 mana left. Like, what could they possibly play to catch up here? This is done.
Yeah.
Because YOLO played one of their unique bouncers that were amazing in of it themselves, where they sabotage from anywhere, and they also have a fun secondary effect where one of them removes permanents and the other one takes back a 3 cost or less to reserve. So yeah, I mean, that's why we thought it was over, and we thought it was because they decided to Keylon burst, but luckily enough for them, they had the hooked ready to go 1 cost common, not the rare that a lot of people use to get the additional card draw. And we saw a few more rounds after that and were able to pull out the win at the very end.
Yeah, just like huge congrats to both players. Just like such a good final match for this event. It does look like all the top tables are finished. Trying to see if I can figure out
See the winners.
Yeah, looks like I could be wrong. It might not update till the very end, but right now got Wildcat, Frenico Rico, Chase Masters, MTG, and YOLO Akin, which first and fourth currently are both Treyst. That was the final match. It's like
Looks like Frenico and Chase Masters played each other at some point, so Chase Master was Waru and Frenico was Tasia.
Okay, so good spread.
We still can't get away from Waru though. He found his way back. He clawed his way back. He had to be there, but
Yeah,
it's fine. We'll take it.
Waru didn't win. They weren't in the finals. It's okay. You know, it's gotta happen. But yeah, nice to see Tasia up there too. We definitely saw some interesting Tasia matches. I think we're both happy we're seeing Kojo perform like relatively well compared to the beginning of the game in these events, which I think will make a lot of people happy that at least they're winning games for longer than like a single round in these events now. But I think we can call it here, and I will continue doing other stuff on stream. But where can people find you all over the internet, Blue?
Everyone can find me at Blue Oak TV for most things, but the YouTube's the important one. If I am sounding underwater, it's because I am. This is actually an aquarium, and I don't typically sound like this, but I do have gills, and that's a special thing about me that you can learn about on my YouTube. Just check it out. New video out today from the winner of the 500 player Paris event, Atigma. He also plays Waro and Mac, but who doesn't these days? But yeah, check it out.
Yes, everyone, please go check out Blue. In the video version of the final match on YouTube, I will also link to his YouTube channel. I would plug my YouTube, but people know because we're on my channel, and I honestly don't remember what video came out this week, so everyone's welcome to go check. Some jank nonsense, I'm sure. But that's been SpooksTheBoops and Blue for some commentary for the AWOL event. I hope everyone had a good time. Hope you're having a good life, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.